Hello and welcome again to the Writer Review. This is Eric Ryder, and this week we're going to be taking a look back at the 2018 action-adventure movie titled Tomb Raider. Now, Tomb Raider runs for 1 hour and 58 minutes long. It is directed by Roger Uthaug. It is produced by Graham King. The script was written by Geneva Robertson Dorrit and Alistair Siddons. The story was written by Evan Doherty and Geneva Robertson Dorrit, and it is based off of the classic video game produced by Crystal Dynamics. The score was done by Tom Holkenberg, the cinematography by George Richmond, and it was edited by Stuart Baird and Michael Tronick. And the stars of the movie are Alicia Vikander, Dominic West, Walton Goggins, Daniel Wu, Kristin Scott Thomas, Derek Jacobi, Nick Frost, Jamie Winstone, and Hannah John-Kamen. Now, in this reboot of the classic video game series and the movie adaptations in the early 2000s starring Angelina Jolie, Alicia Vikander steps into Jolie's shoes as the iconic Lara Croft as she goes into incredible lengths of courage and strength in an effort to rescue her father, who went on a mission 7 years and is presumably dead, only to discover that he has been stranded on an island in Japan in search of an ancient queen holding the secret that could change the depths of humanity. Unlike the early films in the Jolie era, this reboot of Tomb Raider has more of the feeling of an origin story, as we see Croft riding around on her bicycle trying to make ends meet by working as a delivery girl. You would think that someone who is wealthy, like the wealthy daughter of a rich and famous archaeologist, Lord Richard Croft, played by Dominic West, would hold a position higher or a better job than just making deliveries on a bicycle. Well, she's just gonna inherit her father's wealth just like that. No. She's too proud and independent to take advantage just because she's born with a silver spoon in her mouth. Remember, she's just born with a silver spoon in her mouth and not up her ass. Plus, she still has that feeling inside that he's still alive and is searching for an important tomb of an ancient queen off the coast of Japan. In many ways, this movie kind of almost has that feeling, sort of like 1989's Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Although I think this movie is kind of like a discount version of it. You know, without sort of like the lack of charismatic characters or an effective good chemistry that Harrison Ford and Sean Connery possessed in The Last Crusade. This one doesn't have that same kind of chemistry between Alicia Vikander and Dominic West playing Lara and Richard Croft. But still, it's kind of like the same similar plot. famous archaeologists trying to rescue their father and bring him back home to safety. So Laura was eventually called upon by one of Richard's close associates named Anna Miller, played by Kristin Scott Thomas, who wants her to take his inheritance, even though she's still very reluctant. However, she stumbles across his research and makes it her mission to track down and bring him home. The similarities between the 2001 and 2003 adaptations of Tomb Raider and this reboot is that though it's very exuberant in delivery, it's still a familiar story with familiar narratives that stands on its own legs. The big difference here is that the story is much more serious and focused, which is great because even though I like a bit of humor in adventure films, at least we can see that this reboot is not falling under the depths of self-parody. You know what I mean by it's trying to make itself stand on its own. And sure, maybe people may not gravitate too much to the human drama, but at least I think it's an effort to do a different angle based off of the Lara Croft Tomb Raider franchise, with a more serious tone, more humanistic characters, rather than having a video game version of the characters, putting more humanity into the characters by trying to make it more real in its presence. It might not be settling to some viewers that there is a myriad of emotional drama that lies within the father-daughter relationship between Richard and Laura. But if you're a fan of films that are rich in character development, you might be pleased because the flashbacks from Laura's past relationship with her father adds greater purpose as to why Laura is risking her life to rescue her father. It makes each of the characters more human and less like video games characters, provided in the assumption that the script is leaning towards real characters, contrary to video game characters come to life. But for those who couldn't care less about humanized characters and want some action, well, look no further. There's plenty that delivers that pay great homage towards other adventure-themed movie franchises, like Indiana Jones and National Treasure, and all the puzzle-solving, bad guy fighting, putting one's life in danger scenarios all come to life here to keep the action junkie entertained. Aside from the energy and entertainment, there are some real flaws as well. I never said that this movie is perfect in any way. There are a few red herrings that dropped the ratings down. The first being that, unlike the Tomb Raider films in the early 2000s, the reboot depends way too much on CGI, making the fight scenes too superficial, and then falls under the spell of starting to look more like a video game come to life. And sure, he could have went the same direction of Indiana Jones by having Laura do a little globe-trotting. I think it's fine. The setting of this movie is situated on the Japanese island right until the finale. Back in the 80s, there wasn't too much dependence on CGI. But here, it's kind of overkill. Performance-wise, hats off to Alicia Vikander, who looked the part and performed the part of Lara Croft quite well. And, it was great that the casting director took a dependable performer like Alicia Vikander to take over from Angelina Jolie's shoes, because of the fact that, just like Jolie, Vikander is an Oscar-winning actress as well. Vikander won the Oscar role in the 2015 movie The Danish Girl, and was a Golden Globe nominee in her performance as a cyborg in 2014's Ex Machina. Shows she is a versatile performer capable of tackling any roles that's given to her. Her fighting ability actually complements nicely to her emotional range she challenges in her role. So I guess if they're trying to make this movie an origin story, then I guess this movie is doing a great deal of justice. There are times when she shows her inexperience, and this is probably maybe even her first outing in the world of thrill-seeking, adventurous type character. I guess this is where the direction is heading. Another weakness that I might add is that although Vikander excels well, it's just shame that the supporting cast didn't really live up. They were pretty much underdeveloped or just not vibrant or larger than life. And maybe I might be asking too much, but I don't think I am. It's a few of these weaknesses, but it doesn't really deter the movie in any way, and it doesn't make the movie less enjoyable, but it's still not anywhere near the same levels as the Indiana Jones movies in the 80s. Never mind Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. That movie was a piece of shit. So, in the end, Tomb Raider surely brings human realism to the movie by creating a character strong in human emotions while proving great fight scenes and plenty of adventures ahead. Though the CGI can at times be a bit of overkill. And sure, the script was quite cliched, there is still plenty of fun and entertainment to keep the audience satisfied, and never once does it take itself as a parody. So, when all said and done, if I was to give a score out of 10, I would definitely give Tomb Raider 2018 an 8. So I guess this ends my writer review. Thank you all for listening in. If you wish to subscribe to my channel, please feel free to do so. If you wish to leave a comment, go right ahead. But just remember the 3 simple rules. Be kind, be courteous, and please refrain from any rude comments. And I will be back again with another movie review. So until next time, this is Eric Ryder saying, keep watching those movies, and I'll see you around. Goodbye.